In today's tutorial, you will learn how to export your 3D sections as vector lines from Rhino to Illustrator, how to combine line work with clay renderings from Vray, and get some additional tips and tricks on how to enhance your section details. Now let's get to it. Hey guys, Dushan here. Before we start, if this is your first time here, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to our channel as we upload new tutorials each week on Rhino and Grasshopper and how to use these tools specifically for architecture. This tutorial was inspired by Julius, who is a student of Rhino for Architects course. He wanted to know how to create these kind of 3D sections that combine both lines and some colors, some grayish colors. Everything is grayscale. We're going to go through this, how to create this kind of elements, and also maybe include one more layer, which is going to be, for example, a clay rendering instead of just flat shadows. So let's start. First off, I have the model of crown hall that we did in some of the previous tutorials, and I have a clipping plane here in place. So the first thing that we want to do, we want to create make 2D. We want to create 2D lines. So I'm gonna take the perspective mode here so that we have all of that sorted out, and I have one view here that I saved. So first thing that I want to do, I want to hide this guy, and I want to say Control A, select everything, and then I want to type make 2D. So this is the first step. We want to create make 2D from this 3D section, 3D drawings. And these are some of the options that we want to have. So we want tangent edges, scene silhouette, clipping plane into sections, and we can put this on a layer name called make 2D. Once I click OK, you will see that I'll get if I go to the top view, first I need to uncover my clipping plane, and I need to disable it so that I can see this element here. So this is what we got. If I go from the top, you can see that we have our drawing here, but I want to move it just a tiny bit because I want to take one more thing from my section cut. So let's go over here and let's activate this one more time, and this time let's select only our building. So we're going to select only our building without this guy, and I'm going to go to my named view, and I'm going to say make 2D. I'm going to keep everything the same, and now I should have a result already prepared. So let's go to our clipping plane, let's disable it, let's go to the top, and here is the second make 2D. So I did the second one because I want to get the silhouette of the whole building. So I will use curve boolean command to get that silhouette. I'm going to click like this, and you can see that now I have the silhouette of the whole thing, and I'm going to use this later on. So I need that guy, and I also need the section elements here. So you can see here that this drawing is not completely cleaned up in terms of the section, because interaction with the clipping plane doesn't always turn out to be the perfect solution. So we need to use the trim command, and I'm going to trim all of this mess, and I want to be left with only the actual section cuts. So I'm going to clean up this drawing now. Okay, so once we cleaned up the drawing, let's create a new layer here under make 2D, and let's call it section cut. And we're also going to create one more, which is going to be called outline. So outline is going to be this one, and let's move it to this layer. Let's put it to some bluish color, and this one can also be the same color, and we're going to use the section cut, for example, to be something like red. And now let's put this as a current layer. Let's do curve boolean, let's click here, and let's click here, and that would be our section cut. And now at this point I have both of these ready. So now I'm going to select this section cut, and I'm going to copy it here so we have it as well. So now we have two of these layers that we're going to be using later on in post-production with Illustrator. So now at this point we have everything that we need, and now I'm going to export these drawings. I'm going to export them one by one as Illustrator files. So all we need to do is select first this one, click File, Export Selected, and here choose the location and choose the name of our file. So in this case, I'm going to say this is going to be make 2D main, and I'm also going to keep the default, and I'm going to do the same thing with these two guys. I'm going to export this one, and I'm going to call it outline, and one more time I'm going to export this one, and I'm going to call it section cut. So I have a couple of layers exported, and now the last thing that we need to do before we go to Illustrator and Photoshop, we need to create one more clay rendering. So in order to do this, let's come back to our model. Let's activate the clipping plane, and let's go to our named view. Let's click here, and let's see what we need to do here in the Vray settings. You want to make sure that here in the render output, you have the actual aspect, width, and height based on the viewport. So I'm going to click update, and this is going to give me my aspect, and that's exactly the numbers that I want to type: 1463 and here 813. Once I have that, that's exactly what I need. And from that point, all I need to do is click render. Before that, I'm just going to turn off the glass layer, because we don't need the glass, because this is going to be clay rendering, and we want to use material override here with the white material that we have already in the file. And now all we need to do is click render. So this is the first step, and the next step would be to save this and then to go to Illustrator and Photoshop and combine these two. All right, so the rendering is done. I'm going to save it now, and then we're going to move on and see how we can combine these lines with the rendering. All right, so now let's start compositing all of these lines and renders here in Illustrator. I'm going to create a new document that has exactly the same pixels as our output had in Vray. That's very important, have the same numbers. Let's click create. And now I'm going to go to my folder where everything is located. So I'm just gonna drag and drop them like this, and I have them all opened here. Okay, so once I have them opened like this, first I'm going to come here. I'm going to create a new layer here. I'm gonna call it main 2D, and I'm going to nest all of these layers within it. I'm going to put it on top of it, so we have only one main 2D layer. And I will also group it. So I'm gonna say object group, and I'm gonna do the same thing here. I want to actually rename this to outline, and this one I want to rename to section cut. So now I have a couple of these, and let's also group these guys, object group, and this one object group. And now I'm simply going to go to select this guy. I'm going to say Control C, gonna come to my document, Control V, and now I'm going to position it until it snaps. I'm gonna hold Shift and drag it all the way until here. And that's my first layer. So I'm gonna call it main 2D again, and now I can ungroup it. So I'm gonna say object ungroup. All right, so now I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to lock this one on or even hide it. Now let's go to the outline. Let's also Control C, Control V, and here I'm gonna call it outline. And let's position it as well in the same way, like so. I'm going to ungroup it, and I'm gonna take out this outer edge. And now if I uncover this, you'll see that it will match perfectly, which is exactly what we need. And then I'm going to use the last one as well, which is called section cut. And let's come here. Let's Control C, Control V, and I'm going to position it as well the same way, like so. Hold Shift, boom, object ungroup. Let's take out this line, and we have the section cut as well. So now you may be wondering, why did we use this section cut, and why did we use all of this in this manner? So we're gonna get to that. The last thing that we want to do, of course, is to drag our clay render. So I'm gonna drag it like this here, and I will create a new layer. I'm gonna call it clay render, and let's actually put this on the top layer, like so, and let's position it as well. Okay, All right, and now if I uncover the lines, you can see what we're gonna get. We're gonna get actually the lines overlapping with our render. However, I don't like the look of these lines, they are too thick. So if you want to change that, all you need to do is first, let's go to the main 2D layer. So I'm gonna select it, and then I'm going to use here the stroke of 0.1. Now you can see how all the lines became barely visible, and it's totally fine. So it's up to you to control how thick you want the lines to be, but this seems to be a good approach. Maybe let's make it a little bit thicker, 0.2. Okay, and then a cool trick here that you can do, you can select the outline, and you can say, okay, I want this outline to be very thick. So in order to do it, you simply need to put here the color and put the stroke. So let's say 5. Okay, so the 5 is too much, but I actually want to show you something. You can see how these corners are not completely straight. They have like round edges. So if you want to straighten that up, you can simply click here and click on the cap here, butt cap and meter joint, and this will give us those nice corners. And now you can simply decrease the size. I think 3 points would be enough. Yeah, this would be enough. So we create this just to show you like the what is our main section. We have there the lines below, and you can see how we gradually add up the layers, how the section becomes more interesting. Now let's add the last layer, which is going to be a section cut. So now you can see that I have those lines, but what if I want to play around with these lines to make a different kind of color, or if I want to fill this out? I'm going to isolate all of these first to show you, and let's put this to something like 0.1. And the way that this works, you want to put the outer ones on the bottom of the layer stack. So let me just bring these guys down. So I'm going to first let's do this one. So I'm gonna go down, and I'm just gonna drag it until the end here, and I'm going to do the same thing with the top one. We just drag it on the top because we want to use one option here that I'm going to show you now. So all I need to do here is first set the color here, and I'm simply going to select all of this, and I'm going to click on minus front here in the Pathfinder tool. This will give me my fill. The same thing will happen with the top one. I'm going to use the same one, and I'm going to select everything now and use the same kind of option, and this will give me my section. And now of course, if you want to change the color, you can play around with color and get different types of colors if you wish. So let's see what we got at the end. So you can see that we have very cool, interesting section just with the lines, and of course if we get the clear rendering, this is the result that we got. So maybe we need to clean up a little bit this color. I think it's too bright, so maybe something a little bit more towards the dark side, something like this. I think that would work better, like so. And the top one also, so something like this. Okay, and that would be our 3D section. And lastly, if you want maybe to take out these lines, if you don't like them, you can simply click here, and you can click here that says select similar objects. It will select the ones which are in the same color, and you can simply click delete. It will take out these guys. So now we have section like this, and now you can export these as high quality JPEG or high quality PNG or PDF. If you're interested in watching the extended version of this tutorial, where we share some cool compositing tips and tricks in Photoshop and how to combine multiple layers, including material renderings and display styles from Rhino, you can do so by becoming our Patreon member. With that, you also get access to all other extended tutorials and project files. I'd like to thank all of our Patreons. Thank you guys for the support. If you like what we do, please consider becoming Patreon yourself. And if you like a structured approach to learning Rhino, Grasshopper, architectural presentation and rendering, you can apply for our Rhino for Architects 2.0 course. First link in the description. See you soon.